Damn, he got 6K in 1 month just from commissions. So he sold like 60K worth of stuff. Let's see how much money this guy would probably make. So we see 800K subs. So they get $3 to $4 for their RPM.
How do fitness influencers really make money? How much do they make? Why are they all so rich? Except me. Why aren't I rich? Let's find out. This is the economics of fitness influencing. By me, a semi-retired and increasingly obsolete fitness person on the internet. We'll go roughly in order from least.
I don't know, bro. Like, feels like so many people are getting into like fitness influencing, and like all of them are like hella rich. And I'm like, how is this possible? All of them seem to have like so much money, and I think it's like the coaching, bro. Like, so many of them do coaching, and it's like they charge a lot of money, and like they have a lot of clients, and they're making hella bread, bro.
It's a profitable income stream. First, look down here. When you buy through those links, we get commission, usually 10%, but sometimes a lot more or a bit less. It's a small proportion of total income, but it's still worth doing because really any amount of money is worth copy and pasting some links for.
What's wrong? You had a hard day at work?
It's just a lot of copy and pasting, you know. Just a lot. But let's go back, because before this video, there was probably an ad.
No way, bro's using an Apple mouse, bro.
Companies bid for that ad space based on how much money they think you've got, and the revenue is split between YouTube and the creator. The video creator, not God. So if this was a finance channel, they'd pay more for that ad space because people who watch videos about what to do with their money generally have money. So finance has a high CPM. Fitness is mid to low range. This is how much YouTube paid me for a few different videos, and this amount increases when more people click on or watch the ad all the way through. People don't really get rich
So they get $3 to $4 for their RPM
directly from this, because by the time you get enough views to make crazy money this way, you probably already got rich one of the following ways. But first, it's just time for a quick word from our sponsor. Not really, this video isn't sponsored, but if it was, this is where I'd talk about a VPN or shaving your balls or something, because most sponsors ask for a 90-second slot in the first few minutes of the video. Once you hit good numbers, companies will be emailing you like, yo, sell our stuff and we'll give you some money, sometimes a lot of money, and most of the time you'll be like, thanks, but what does this even do? So you say no a lot more than you say yes, partly out of a healthy sense of shame, because if you sell everything, people will think you're not cool, and partly just because most of it is kind of uninteresting, you know, like ball shaving utensils. It's not really living the dream, man.
Oh hell no, he's not gonna get the Manscaped sponsor now, bro. Once he starts doing all the shade, bro.
But sometimes you say yes, and then you've got to tell them a price, and that's hard to come up with because there's no precedent for this. So I usually just keep asking for more until people say no. That does sound like boundless greed, but really it's the only way to gauge what's fair. And most of the ads I do, I get asked to do again, so it obviously is fair. Maybe I'm still cheap. Maybe that's why I'm not rich. I've done sponsored segments for a few £100s, and I've done them for 10,000. Notice how I said the actual number there instead of saying 5 figures. When everyone gets so mysterious, man. But these days, 5K is pretty standard. Compare that to the YouTube ad revenue and see what I meant earlier. By the time you're making good money from that, you should already be making really good money from that. Sponsored Instagram posts will earn a bit less than YouTube because even though the reach may be broader, it's
only worth it for the companies to do the sponsored shit because it's the actual YouTuber saying the YouTuber's brand is like promoting it instead of just like the ads at the beginning. It doesn't have like any like real relation or like there's no like relationship with the actual creator and like the ads at the beginning or like the end of the videos and stuff like that. The companies pay like way higher RPM, and you also don't have to split that with YouTube. But you know what I always wondered is like, what if you usually get like 100K views, but then the one video that you post with the sponsor, you get like 5K views? What would they do that?
Views don't convert into sales at the same rate. By the way, guys, if you want to buy this thing, you can use my code at checkout for 10% off. Don't buy the thing. It's not even for sale. Unless for the right price, obviously. Let's talk about the bread and butter of fitness influencer income, the long-term sponsorship, most often taking the form of gym clothing and supplements. You sign a contract and commit to set monthly deliverables for a base fee plus commission plus product allowance. The sponsor gets a better rate than paying for individual posts, and the influencer gets some steady income. Monthly fees depend on the number and type of posts, but commission will usually be circa 10%, which can become substantial because it's usually big brands that lots of people buy from already, and those people just have to
Damn, you got 6K in 1 month just from commissions. So he sold like 60K worth of stuff.
Substantial. That's because crazy. It's usually big brands that lots of people buy from already, and those people.
Yeah, so that's like the really good deal with like some of these sponsorships. It's that they already are buying it anyway. So if they might as well buy it, and they just use your code to just like support you, and you just like make some money off of that, which is like really cool for the audience to like help support the creator without like having to spend any extra money or anything.
People just have to like you enough to use your code, which you convince them to do by A, being a pleasant individual, and B, saying use my code at every possible opportunity. I don't have any sponsors right now, but I have before, and this is what my salaries and deliverables have looked like. I actually do now, but when I wrote the notes for this video, I didn't. So there will be links in the descriptions. Now, eventually, fitness influencers have a realization and ask themselves, what if instead of selling stuff for other people, I sell my own stuff? And this can take a variety of forms. Option 1, somebody else makes a batch of t-shirts with your slogan on the front and you sell them. No new company is ever incorporated, but people will still put CEO in their bio and say things like, been working so hard on this behind the scenes. Can't wait for you guys to see it, because, you know, they're trying to build hype, but then...
Yeah, like they just say, like they just put like hella effort and like time into it when it's actually like somebody else doing the whole thing. Well, like, okay, they did some work and like the brand is theirs, but like really making them to be like as good as they can be with like great designs and stuff. A lot of the creators, like they just like don't spend that much time into that, which is a shame, because I feel like if they did, like there would be a lot better like merch coming out.
You do see it and it's just a t-shirt. This is something like a 50-50 profit share, so it can be very lucrative considering how little work you actually have to do. Option 2. Let's take a second to talk about option 2 because you might find this interesting. So
I know he said it's like zero work, but the work that you're doing for the actual like deal or like the merch is not the work of the actual thing, but you have like building your audience. It just takes so much work. So all the work that you've done previously is getting like paid off now, like in the future. So there isn't like any work you have to do specifically for that deal, but you still have a lot of work behind the product.
So there are these companies, one example being Genflow, but there are others, and they build businesses for influencers, whether it's apps, clothing, courses, supplements. Many brands you recognize will actually be partially owned and or largely operated by Genflow or similar companies. Usually the company owns a minority of the brand and basically does a lot of the boring and difficult stuff, manufacturing products, dealing with shipping, customer support, whilst the influencer focuses mostly on what they're good at, selling the thing, use my code. So it's a pretty good deal for the influencer, and it's a large part of the reason why you find yourself looking at people online, people who should be pretty busy on account of all the CEO activities, and you think, how are you on holiday all the time? Option 3, actually just start your own business without any help. Whilst you have the potential to make the most money this way, you can still make a lot of money, definitely enough money, and with way less stress, risk, and hassle one of the other ways. So most people don't actually choose this option unless they're a control freak or they just particularly enjoy entrepreneurship. Although I personally chose it out of an aversion to corporate jargon and a fear that any other route might necessitate my engaging in it at some point. You know what I mean? Just don't want to have to email people and talk about scaling or other terms that cause me deep spiritual distress. Then eventually, many fitness influencers and influencers in general start asking themselves, what if I stop selling stuff altogether and start selling the ability to sell stuff? Enter things like courses, masterminds, and business coaching. These tend to be quite high ticket, i.e. expensive, and they are becoming more and more common. So I can only deduce that it must have huge earning potential. I haven't really mentioned it.
Yeah, I've seen a few people doing this, like especially in the fitness thing. I think Alex Eubanks now has like a program, mastermind or something. Like he's like teaching people how to get like famous as a fitness influencer, which I guess is like what he's like basing this part off of.
Yeah, because it's just not something that particularly interests me for a few reasons, mainly because I just like making videos, not PowerPoint presentations, so I don't know much about it, but the general gist is people started selling shovels in the gold rush, or people stopped selling protein shakes and gym clothes and started selling the ability to sell protein shakes and gym clothes. So why haven't I mentioned fitness coaching yet? Because although most fitness influencers do this at first, once they amass some followers, they realize it's just not viable. To make it worthwhile for you, you'd have to charge people so much that it wouldn't be worthwhile for them. It's very time consuming unless, you have ChatGPT do it for you. And why spend time coaching people when you could spend it on holiday whilst somebody else runs a business for you? That sounds like I'm joking, but I mean, really, like, why? I've coached people and I've also been on holiday, and like being on holiday is better. So a typical example for a mid-range fitness influencer. Mr. Influencer gets 5,000 to 10,000 likes on their Instagram posts, 50,000 to 75,000 views on their stories, and 50,000 views on their YouTube channel where they upload weekly. They could have a supplement and gym clothing sponsor earning a 4,000 base salary plus 2,000 commission for each. They could do one sponsored YouTube video per month for 2,000 and one sponsored Instagram post per month for 1,500. At this point, they'll probably have a white labeled app or some set of ebooks or guides which will make them another 2,000. They'd easily make another 1,000 from YouTube AdSense and 500 from affiliate links. That's 19,000 per month and probably an underestimate. Somebody with this kind of engagement could quite easily be in the 20 to 25,000 a month range, depending on how.
What's crazy is like, this is not even like a crazy big influencer. 150K subs, 50,000 views a video that you make once a week. Like, that's not even that crazy. It just shows you like how much like influencers are actually making. Damn, like I did not realize that it was like worth that much, even with like such little like view counts and it's not little, but it's not insanely like massive is what I mean.
How much selling they're willing to do and how good they are at selling. So if we now say they're getting 200,000 views on YouTube and 20,000 likes on Instagram consistently, and they have their own company, you can imagine this gets pretty crazy pretty fast. Somebody with these numbers could quite easily be hitting 100,000 plus some months. This is GBP, by the way. To reiterate, this is completely hypothetical. Most of these don't apply to me personally right now, but I'm quite confident these figures are reasonably accurate. Now, I know some of this might seem a bit obscene, but I made this video because I thought people might find a peek behind the curtain somewhat interesting, not to instigate a witch hunt where we all say influencer bad and I get your approval for saying.
Let's see how much money this guy would probably make. So we see 800K subs. He's posting once a month, and it's about like 50K views a week, let's say, combining all of them into once a month instead of splitting them. I'd say he's probably making like at least like 20K, right, a month, based on like what he's saying and like his 800K subscribers. He also said he has like some stuff. So he has his app, and then the supplements and training programs. So yeah, I think he's definitely making like 20K maybe. Even though he has like so many subscribers, I don't think he's getting that many views anymore. Okay, he's getting 5 to. Okay, it really depends for him, but recently he was getting like 10K views, 10K likes. Let's say like 3K. Yeah, like combining all of that and like based on what he's saying, I think it's definitely that he's making around, like 10K, and I think closer to 20K.
One of them,
which is pretty good for a guy that only uploads once a month. So
I'm also just going to skip the part where I say that I hate the term influencer and try and disassociate myself from all the negative connotations of the word because, well, it's just a bit pick me, isn't it? In my experience, though, fitness influencers, at least, are no more or less flawed than every other person. Highly flawed still, but not more or less than anyone else. Those flaws are certainly more under the spotlight, which is just an occupational hazard, and they can even be exacerbated by the circumstance. There is inevitably more opportunity for greed, self-importance, ego to infect an individual, but what you have to remember is, if you're disgusted by how much money influencers make, you're not really mad at them. You're mad at the general population. And that's a lot of people to be mad at because every rich influencer...
Like, influencers get paid too much. They're only getting paid that much because that's what businesses think that they're worth. Just because you're making less money and you think you're working harder, and you might be definitely like working harder, like physically and mentally. It's just not what's valued in society. The making money is not just about how hard you work. And I think how much money the influencers are making, like, definitely proves that. And a lot of them do work really hard, but to say like that they're working harder than someone that's like construction, like 8 hours a day plus like 10 hours a day or something, they're really not working as like physically hard.
Is rich off the back of thousands and thousands of decisions. You guys get the personal responsibility of exercising your independent judgment and deciding who to follow, what to watch, whose discount code to use, and ultimately who you make rich and who you make go get a real job. So you decide. Pick me.
I should pick him and subscribe to him as well. And then if you liked my video, pick me and subscribe to me as well. I'll see you in the next video.